Buongiorno, buon pomeriggio, e buonasera, Lazio world. Welcome to our instant reaction pod. Consider this your stoppage time as we review the round of 16 Coppa Italia, Lazio versus Napoli. And here with my friend, Caleb Adams, who always seems to disappear, but shows up when the times are good. And I had to go through a brutal podcast after just a gut punch of a morning defeat to Parma. Here I am, down, depressed, all by myself. But when times are good, it's great to see you. How you feeling after this one, Caleb? A 3-1 victory.
Man, I'm feeling good. This kind of battle of the backups today. It was nice to see our depth that's running thin come through. Some big individual performances. Yeah, I'm excited to talk about it.
Yeah, well, talk about it. We will do. Let's start where we always start because I think, especially today, the starting 11. It was a ton of changes, all by necessity. I was going to be curious to see how we approached it, but really, Baroni left with little choice. It wasn't like he was going to have an opportunity to see what kind of mastermind he was, and is he going to rotate? How's he going to approach it? Didn't really have too many choices here. You have Mandas at goalkeeper, but we see the return of Hisai. Hisai getting the starting nod at left back. Patrick, Gigot, Lazzari, and then you have a midfield that sees Rovella. Of course, you knew that was going to be the case, especially given his suspension ahead. Dele Bashiru, and then interesting because it really seemed like I don't know. You might have seen Noslin playing a bit of that midfield. You saw players kind of really rotating. I was trying to figure it out because the starting 11 looked like maybe Noslin was in the midfield, but you had up top Chauna, Zaccagni, and Pedro. And so it was really tough to see, or understand kind of who was playing where. And I think that, really helped us out. But, this one started off with Lazio on the front foot, which was the case for a lot of this match. And, a little bit of good, a little bit of bad, but mostly good. And you see Lazio really 20 minutes in, you see a nice counter attack. I think you see some faces that really hadn't done a ton this season, but Noslin with a nice touch to Hisai, who then plays a really nice ball to Pedro. The old man still working wonders, earns himself a penalty, but then Zaccagni, who had been perfect from the penalty spot, gets his pen saved, and you start to, here we go again. But 32nd minute, Noslin bags a really nice goal, and quickly answered with Giovanni Simeone putting one away. That one we'll talk about. Really unfortunate. Mandas had his part to play in that. Patrick had his part to play. But then a big answer from Noslin. You see Zaccagni, nice, dangerous ball into the box. Pedro, again, just what a magical touch. A little back flick to Noslin. Shows all the patience in the world. Really, just a veteran. That's something you see from a player that maybe has some confidence, who he hasn't really had. So it was nice to see. Super patient, finishes it off, and then you see us walk away with this one 3-1. Lazio moving on, single elimination to the quarters. Caleb, give me your 3 words or less to describe this one.
Yeah, I'm gonna go play to win. What does that mean? This Lazio side under Baroni, unlike Sadi, doesn't matter who's out there. Sometimes last year kind of felt where we were just kind of comfortable to kind of just get by in a game. It's a midweek match. Our schedule's congested. We're happy to just kind of hold on, especially a team against like Napoli or one of the better teams in the league. I think we always come to win. We always play to win matches. in this. Just like I show up when we win.
Love it from Taz 1109 on YouTube.
Play to
Caleb
win
shows up
podcast.
like Noslin showed up.
Play to
Doesn't
win
always happen,
podcast to
but
win.
when it does, it is special.
Exactly.
Well,
But
look,
just like that.
no, I was
Go
gonna say
ahead. Go
your
ahead.
3 words. Honestly, you and I are in sync. Mine, really on the same page. I put kept on pushing. Just kept going after it. Kept going after the win. Even up 3-1, you could see them really pushing for a 4th goal. So I think you're on point there.
I was in between two, to be honest. And another sort of angle we could have gone is, this bounce back mentality, where not only are we missing some major guys, we're also we missed a penalty kick early on. Guess what? We kept pushing. Boom, we're back in it. They equalized. Guess what? Boom, we bounced right back. And that's been a good. And now in the more the macro level, we're on a little bit of a downward, kind of dip, for the first time in a while. And the question you and I were having is, how are we going to bounce back from this? Or is this going to be just is this where we start just down, like just doing a typical Lazio and just down spiral into a complete mess? Or are we going to be able to find some sort of momentum and kind of get ourselves back into it? And I think this is a great start to that. And of course, it is Napoli's B team. But somebody on Twitter, Emco on Twitter, had a great point, which was, yeah, but the guys are playing. They spent over 100 million euros on Simeone. What's the Scottish kid's name? Oh shoot, what's his name?
McTominay?
Gilmore.
No.
Gilmore. No, Gilmore was playing today. All these players that Neres from Ajax, right? This guy from Ajax, right? These are all players that amount to over 100 million spent. So yeah, it's a backup team. A lot of our guys are backups, but guess what? We sure didn't spend anywhere near the amount for those guys, like Noslin, who we're going to talk about later today, as Napoli did. So
Yeah,
Baroni,
look,
that's about only difference.
it was our B squad. Of course, we had guys in there, but I think, yeah, if you're a Napoli fan, you could say, oh, this is our B squad, but this certainly was far from our top squad. And Hisai back from the depths of hell to find himself in the starting 11 for this one. I mean, my goodness, we had Basic back on the squad, sitting on the bench. So. And I think for me, the big thing is that we've talked about this. Like, players are showing up, and when I was down in the dumps after the Padma result, over the weekend, and of course it's coming off the heels of Ludo Goretz, and you're like, oh man. But again, you take a look at the stats and the underlying numbers, and we're still outperforming the teams that we're matched up against. In those matches, even when we weren't playing at our best against Padma, we still were the better side and should have won. And today, another case of that, except it wasn't a should have won. It was, we took care of business. You take a look at the stats for this one, and it was 51% possession to Lazio, 2.23 expected goals, Napoli 0.80. Yet again, Lazio under 1.0 and conceding their expected goals. Total shots 11-9. Lazio with 5 on target to Napoli's 3. Big chances again, where Lazio has just completely excelled this year, especially when you think about our struggles last year. 5 big chances to Napoli's 2. 2 of those were missed, but especially when you think about the penalty. But again, just top to bottom in all phases. Napoli, can't be too upset about this one. Lazio clearly the better side.
100% no, and I think I'm sure we'll go into it. I'm sure this is a good segment to talk about players we like, but we needed our backup guys to come up for us. Our depth is very thin right now, and they did. And might as well go ahead and talk about who our man of the match is.
Yeah. I mean, is it? I mean, like, we'll talk about other guys, but let's be honest, Caleb. On a match, a hat trick hero. I mean, it's Noslin all day, every day. What a performance! And even outside of the goals, he did so well in the build-up play. I mentioned the penalty that was earned in the 20th minute. Noslin with a nice little hold-up, nice touch to Hisai. So I just thought, what a fantastic match from a kid who, seen his ups and downs, has come in with a lot of hype. He's Baroni's guy, our most expensive signing this season. He gets a red card in Europa. He's kind of like, where's his place now? Other guys are playing well. Amazing, amazing. Particularly when we get real frustrated with Tati. I joked in our group chat,
It's not
Nostin
funny.
over
I'm not
Tati.
smiling. I'm not smiling.
But I mean, when's the last time Tati scored a hat trick?
Oh, don't even get me
The
started.
clinical finishing
I mean,
today. I love to see
Real
it.
Madrid, but okay. I
Oh
mean,
well,
whatever.
look,
It's just Madrid.
long time ago, we wasn't wearing these
It's just
colors.
it's just the first team of
Sure, he
Madrid,
did.
but whatever. I
In
mean,
MLS.
small club.
Yeah.
But I'm really happy for Noslin. This was actually his first ever multi-goal game of his career, which is what a time to do it. Yes, back up Napoli. We still get, but still, it's a knockout game. Stakes are high, regardless. And he came up, and what I like from Nelson today, and I said it on a tweet of mine was that he had really great positioning today. Just there was some great build up, some great passes, but you still have to find yourself in those positions. And he was there. He was there for the two headers today. Headed goals generally come from really good positioning, because they're not really high quality shots per se, but if you're well positioned, you're able to catch people out with them, and he uses physicality to his ability. We saw nice little headers. We also saw a little bit of composure as well on his second goal. Took a little extra touch, delayed a little bit, boom, slotted in with good composure. Really happy for Noslin. We need to continue to I was really high on him when we signed him. It's been a little bit lackluster for a lot of the season, but there's something there. There's something there for sure, and I'm really happy to see that. And yeah, I do want to give some love to as well, since it's very clear that Nelson was a winner. Want to give some love to Zaccagni as well this game.
Yep.
Zaccagni, he really took this game by the mantle. Even with the missed penalty, us praising him shows you the kind of game he had. I thought he was so good at just ripping up the defense, and he was really the playmaker for this side today. He was unguardable. They were struggling to deal with Zaccagni. Was critical in some of those goals there. Was really fun to watch. Yeah, this was his at his best. This was him at his best.
Yeah, I'm glad. I'm really happy that you mentioned Zaccagni because I had him as kind of next up, and what you really love to see from him and so much of this season. I mean, he has every bit earned that captain's armband, and he shows up at the right times. I feel like every time Lazio has maybe been a little bit slow and kind of been out of it, you see where he just takes over and inserts and asserts himself. And today, same. And what I loved about it is the mentality after he misses that pen. How many players are all of a sudden out of it, right? They're bummed. And I felt like he got even better after he missed that pen and taking on defenders, earning fouls, just really, really
Good,
putting
yeah.
them on their heels. Loved every bit of what we saw from him. And then obviously I mentioned Pedro. I mean, his involvement in earning that penalty and then assisting on a goal. Just the youth that this guy is displaying right now. It's incredible, and it's not ceasing to amaze me this year what we're getting out of him.
I like that you mentioned him a little more there because I talked about that bounce back mentality, sort of that next play. Baroni has brought that in and instilled that, and it's no coincidence Zaccagni has been appointed as the captain because generally the captain reflects the values of the coach in many cases. I think Zaccagni is a perfect sort of fit for Baroni because Zaccagni is very much a player of like, just like the missed pen, whatever, next play, right? Whatever. We keep
Yep.
going, put the head down, keep working, keep trying, give me the ball again, I'll keep shooting, And so I think that's part of the reason why this team has gelled so much is that not only the coach has come in and set his principles, but the players and the leadership of the team, the key guys also embrace that as well. And it just sort of it spreads through the whole team. And you can see it, and even I think it's becoming contagious. Shauna in the beginning of the season would make a bad play, put his head down, kind of moan and pout. He's not doing that anymore. Shauna is much more positive, much more upbeat. And I think it's contagious in the side. And yeah, I mean Hisai, I want to give a quick shout out to Hisai as well because man has not played any minutes at all this season. I forgot he was on the team. Obviously didn't, but it's been a minute since we've seen Hisai. He came in and put in a shift. He was
Yeah.
great. He was really good, really solid. Again, I find that as credit to Baroni as well. Even a guy who's on the very outskirts is able to get motivated enough to come in, put a shift in a match like this.
Yeah, you're right. It's really quite a mentality, especially when we've talked about how poor the Lazio mentality has been for years. This is dating back to even our beloved Simone Inzaghi, and we would have these blackouts, and sometimes the side wouldn't show up, and we're seeing it top to bottom, star players to role players to guys that have been out of the squad completely. Really, really good stuff. But as usual, Caleb, with the good, we got to talk about the bad. Who's your bidone?
Ah man, this is kind of tough. Um, man,
I'll be harsh. I got to give it to Mandas
that's literally the only one I could think of. Even
because
though
everybody
I
else
do think it
played.
is harsh.
Yeah, but look, everybody else played. I don't want to say flawlessly, but like nobody had any massive gaffes. Nobody, even
Morella had that one, but
yeah,
it
but it
worked
didn't
out still.
amount to anything, and like he
Yeah,
was
yeah.
still like great the rest of the match. Um, Chauna like not as crisp as some of the other attackers today, but like he was in the like I liked his liveliness, but like Mandas, you got to do better, right? And when a keeper makes a mistake, it's unfortunately like there's no it's you don't get anybody clean it up after you, but that was one where you just got to be a lot better when he conceded that parry that obviously led
Yeah.
to the goal.
No, and I think in this case, like, do we think Napoli scores that game if he doesn't make that mistake? Probably not, to be honest. I mean,
Right.
I genuinely think that the only reason they scored is because of an individual mistake from Mandas. And so, yeah, I mean, I agree with that. It is harsh because he actually followed it up with a good save shortly
Yeah.
after.
Yeah.
He had a
Yeah.
nice little save at the near post shortly after. Bounce back mentality. I mean, even a guy like Mandas coming in, recovering from that mistake, boom, makes a big save. So, yeah, it's not to say his performance was terrible, but
No, it
he did
wasn't
have really,
terrible, but
yeah,
again, whenever, and that's a good thing, right? When we
yeah,
struggle and when we feel bad about giving out a bidone, like
right, yeah, right,
it just means everybody played really well, and
yeah,
I mean, he made a mistake, and unfortunately, that was the one mistake that cost us, and nobody else, fortunately, made too many, and I think we're on the same page there. So, now
yep,
it's about starting a new win streak. It's about facing this same side in just a handful of days. Napoli this Sunday. We've got a big one, and this one, I guess my question, Caleb, is how much does today's result matter when it comes to Sunday? Because we're facing the same side, but it's a different side, if you know what I mean. So, how much stock are you putting in today's match for Sunday?
I'm not putting too much stock, but you also can't say that it's completely insignificant. I'm really. It seemed that both coaches see that Sunday clash as the game because both of them rotated this match. I don't think it's particularly like, oh yeah, like this is just a signifier of we're just gonna go in there and do the same thing again on Sunday because it's not because Lukaku, Kabata, these are different challenges. McTominay has been playing really well for Napoli as well. It's a different team we're playing against, but we're also gonna be starting a different team. And I do think that where this gets interesting is if the Napoli game goes, it's still 0-0 in the 60th minute. Our substitutes have shown, I believe, to provide a better sort of backup, better depth the Napoli's have. Will that come into play on Sunday when Napoli starts making rotations? We make rotations. That rotated side is going to have some confidence coming to that game because it's like, hey, we just thrashed these guys on Thursday. Um, but it's a new game. They should treat it as it's a new game, even tactically. Baroni and the crew are going to have to figure out a different system to deal with Lukaku, to deal with Cavada. So yeah, it's a new game really, but this is still a nice little boost. It's better than losing and then playing them Sunday.
Yeah, no, for sure. So, how are you approaching Sunday with the lineup? Because we've had, you're. I mean, this is massive. This is now, I think, if I'm taking a step back, I go, this. What do we do to win? Now we're limited. There's only so much Baroni can do, but in terms of rotation or players, I don't know that if you just go with your Serie A lineup. I don't know that this is your Isaacson plays the right wing, Tati up top, Zaccagni left. I don't know that I would do that. Tell me, Caleb, what are you running with on Sunday?
Man, this is tough. This is really tough. However, with us being down Rovella, down Vecino, the big question mark is who plays in the pivot? And what do we need to do to sort of compensate for that? I think there are two choices you can do. There's a little more safe version, which is a little bit what we saw today. Dele Bashiru comes in, played pivot today, had a good game. I think people have questions around him playing in the pivot, more defensive midfielder, because he's seen more as a attacking midfielder, second striker type of role. But I think that Dele Bashiru actually has a really good physical profile to play that position and has a good engine. His defensive positioning, his aggression is not at the level of Ravella, but an option is to run Guendouzi and him, and then you go about and I think you play Noslin again. I think you start Noslin right wing. You just check him right back in, or a second striker with Tati. He's hot. He feels good. He's confident. I think you run him back. You run Tati back again. I think I personally would like to see Zaccagni left wing, Tati and Noslin as the two strikers, and then Pedro right wing.
Okay.
That's personal. For me, that right there, Pedro had a great game today too. Keep it
Yeah.
going. These are guys that are in form. And then you run Dele Bashiru as sort of that second pivot alongside Guendouzi. And then, of course, you have Hila. But the more unorthodox thing to do, and I've mentioned it on Twitter, is you run Hila as a defensive midfielder. And hear me out. Hear me out. It might be a hot take. Hear me out. But think about Hila's aggression. Rovella and Hila are cut from the same cloth. These are two super hyper aggressive players who have good anticipation, who have good carrying abilities. I think Hila actually carries the ball better than Rovella does. I think that Hila does have attributes to be able to play Hila, yeah, to play the Rovella role. He has this aggression to him. He's comfortable on the ball, and he likes to make these pushing runs forward. That's pretty that's good for the position Ravella plays. If you want to get the closest sort of profile to Ravella in that position, so you can have that aggression and make your press work, I think you run Hila there, and then you run Gigot as a right center back alongside Romagnoli, which I think Gigot is a better matchup for Lukaku than really any other center back other than Romagnoli. Gigot as a more physical, taller striker center back who has been really good for us lately. And I think you run him alongside Romagnoli, two more physical presence, because even Hila is not the strongest guy for someone like Lukaku.
Yeah.
And then I think you got to go a little more defensive on fullbacks with Cavada, whoever is guarding him.
Yeah.
Marusic on him, maybe.
Yeah, well, I agree with Marusic. I agree with Gigot. Obviously, the physicality of Lukaku, I think you got to match that. Gigot's proven that. He's also proven that he can contribute in the attack, and he's racked up an assist and a goal in the last two matches.
Set piece threat, yeah.
Yeah, so a match like this, your set pieces are going to be really important. Now, I can't say I agree with the Hila and the Rovella role. I've heard takes, in the past year or so for Patrick in a potential desperation midfield because he can pass the ball well and his ball distribution's not too bad, and he's a little crafty, but I don't think we are quite there yet. We are desperate, but I would rather see what we threw out today with Delabashido and Genduzi. We did see Castrovilli come on late. So, given what he looks like in training, I think I would probably think about that before I think about Gila in
That's
those
crazy.
roles.
No way. There's no
Um,
way I'm throwing Castrovilli out there against Napoli, right? No
I
way.
Gila in that role, I don't know. I just think that there's an extra responsibility, right, and that he maybe has a little bit more space and time when he's operating as a center back versus the responsibility of being that regista where it all comes through you at all times. So, yeah. But
I mean, for sure.
in attack, I would love to see Noslin rewarded for this to continue and build him up a little bit. So, whether that comes at the expense of Tati or not, I think I'm fine with you're having both of those. Now, is it confirmed that Dia's out for Sunday? Do we know?
They said a week, but
Okay.
they said he could get close. They said it could be very close for Sunday. There is a chance Dia is available.
Okay.
There is a
So
chance he's available.
he's just been so strong for us. I would love to see him in this match too. But now, if it's a fitness thing, but I really want to see Noslin rewarded after this performance. I think that's going to be critical. Whether that is on the right, whether that's behind Tati, or whether that's in place of Tati. I think Tati's going to play a role in this match no matter what. We're going to need his engine. We're going to need his effort, whether that's off the bench. But yeah, and then the Pedro piece. What I love about Pedro is he makes an impact whether he's a starter or off the bench. So I think finding a way to get him in there is going to be critical. But man, this is a test. This is the real one, and I think this goes without saying. This stretch is really, really tough. We're going to know what type of a squad we have. I think we're going to be able to set every expectation as realistic after we get through Napoli, Ajax, Inter, Atalanta, and then of course you've got the Derby. But throw the Derby out the window because I don't think that ever measures you because you just never know what happens. But these 3 or 4 matches, I think this is going to tell everything about our season, and it starts with Napoli. This can either crush us. I don't know. Maybe that's harsh. Like maybe it won't crush us. We've got a good mentality, but I think it does give you the confidence. I think if we win, it does everything for the season to tell us who we are.
I also think internationally it also sets the tone for how people talk about Lazio. I think they're definitely
But
people are impressed, like, oh wow, this is pretty good. But I think this is a real opportunity to make international impact on what's happening at Lazio. If we go in and have a great game against Napoli and Inter, we win or draw or something like that. We win both. I think conversations around Lazio begin to shift through the media, and it's really quite a statement. It will be a huge statement to the league, to media, to pundits, and most importantly to themselves. Right at the end of the day, getting these results, it's great. It's great to look good for fans and media, but it is the most beneficial to the players, their belief of like, hold up, man, we're right in this. We can actually compete, for this, right? That's a whole other level, but there's already a lot of belief in this crew. Imagine we go in and play really well, win out Napoli Inter. I mean, we're not talking too crazy now, but you mentioned last time, if we go in and win these, I think the players have a genuine belief they can compete for the Scudetto. I think they would genuinely feel that way if they go in and have these great results.
yeah, I mean, no doubt. Again, I think the most frustrating part, and I said it on our last episode talking about Parma. One of the most frustrating pieces of this past couple matches is that we play so great, 7 wins in a row, 10 out of 11, and it did nothing to create separation. Like, and then you layer that on top of Juve struggling, Milan struggling. You take any average football fan and you sit down with them and you go, man, here's Lazio. This is what they're doing. Milan, Juve, kind of not great, you'd be like, oh man, you guys got to be top 4, right? It's like, nah, actually, like
I know it's
that's
crazy.
where
It's
it's,
crazy.
there's just no room for error, which is why
Hmm.
Serie A is the most entertaining league in the world, bar none.
No
Like,
doubt.
I
No
mean,
doubt.
no doubt. So big one ahead. It'll be a lot of fun. Caleb, can I count you in for Sunday?
Yes, lock me in. Win or
Is
lose.
hold on. What is your church schedule look like? Are we clear? Because
We are clear.
you heard it here first,
I
world.
can't miss this one. I cannot miss this one no matter what.
This guy is going to be on air live. Caleb Adams, Sean
Can you
McIntosh,
believe it?
bringing it to you post match against Napoli. Always a lot of fun. Support us, follow us on social. Make sure to subscribe, give us those 5-star ratings, check us out on YouTube. But above all,